is up, everybody? This is O-Artistry here, and welcome back to one of the 12, where basically we just sit down, we look at the deck that I used at locals, we talk about it, we talk about the strategies, and just how the overall day went. So, the last tournament was really not that long ago, to be honest with you guys. It was actually very quick. Considering, I mean, like the next one is Saturday. Like we're going through all the tournaments, where the next one's actually going to be GOAT format, so that's going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to that. So the next one will be on March 7th. So that's like, you know, incredible just how fast we're slowly going through the year already on our third tournament. It's going to be absolutely crazy, but at this stage it's good that we can basically just spend some time together and go through the next tournament. So without further ado, we're going to dive in to this deck profile. What I'm doing is, so the last tournament was the 21st, so I just wanted to double check what the actual date was, so I'm stalling stalling for that. So it was on the 21st, and this next one is now on Saturday the 7th. So in this tournament, I will show what my deck was, and then we'll talk about kind of like my opponent's decks. So for me, the deck that I used was officially Gladiator Beasts with Zoodiac, and this was a really cool, super fun deck. There is one change I need to make real quick, because this is actually not quite right. So Test Tiger and Zoodiac Whiptail, they've basically swapped. So it's like, because after a little bit of extra testing, basically I decided that this was the better route, and Test Tiger's good, but sometimes he wasn't that great. So yeah, this is the deck. So there wasn't as many of us, granted, and Nathan and RJ sadly couldn't make it. They were really well missed, and I'm excited to see them both at GOAT and gonna kick their ass. GOAT is where, full disclosure, GOAT format, Edison format, that's where I thrive. Like, I am so, they are like my jam, my bread, my butter. They're just amazing formats, and I absolutely love them. Old school all the way. The mind games, the chess games, it's just so good. Like, I love it, because it's, while the games are somewhat quicker because you're just playing not as many cards and waiting for your opponent to make like 50 combos, which we'll get into, by the way. At least with GOAT format, it's much easier to play. So my first opponent was Jack. He was playing Rockets, and that's where that kind of 50 minutes of combos takes place, because with Rockets, they are not the fastest to build boards. They do a whole lot. Like, if I'd seen my draws a little bit more, we could have dealt with it easier, but unfortunately I didn't. Our game one went pretty quick in Jack's favor, and he ended up winning because no hand traps, no nothing. Then I pretty much managed to get through into game two. I got it to the point where it was in checkmate, because that's the thing with this deck. You can get your opponent into checkmate in a position where they just cannot respond unless there are 4 very specific cards. There are some arguably other cards that you could use, but I know most of the people at the tournaments just don't use them. So I'm like, well, there's even less that I have to worry about. So we'll go through the weaknesses of the deck. But then, yes, let's then go through. So with Jack, with his Rockets, game 2, I managed to get him into checkmate. There was about 10 minutes left on the clock, and then I told Jack, look, whatever you do, I'm basically going to negate it or destroy it. It literally, the board is set up. There's nothing you can do. Tried to play through it, and that took about 6 minutes. And then, like, yeah, there was only 4 minutes on the clock for game 3, so we ended up going on a double loss, which is a shame. I definitely think if we had the time, I would have won the third game. I'm sorry, like, it's just that understanding Rockets and like the choke points, I definitely could have taken on Rocket and definitely won with this deck. Game 1 was just, it was rough because I didn't have any of the hand traps, but yeah, like, I reckon Game 3, absolutely, we would have definitely taken it. Then games 2, 3, and 4, I managed to win all my games with pretty much relative ease. So I faced Sean with his Blackwings. I think he was my final opponent. I believe Tal was maybe my third opponent, and Luke was my second opponent with Cyberse. And Tal was using the Stardust deck, which would summon a whole load of monsters and tuners, but then it's like, oh, okay, well, I've got a whole bunch of different names, so I'm just going to blow them up. So, or negate effects. It was relatively quick. The only deck that I didn't get to face against was against Jaden with his XYZ Obelisk Fiendsmith deck. That would have been really cool. He won the tournament overall. Unfortunately, because there wasn't enough pairings, there was a little bit of, unfortunately, awkwardness because most people had faced everybody. So it had to be the way that we did them. But realistically, Luke should have had the buyout, if I'm being completely honest. That's what should have happened in the 4th round. It's just unfortunate that he couldn't take it because there wasn't enough to make it so. But yeah, because otherwise somebody would have matched with somebody else, and it just makes it awkward for a rematch. So my brother had to face Jaden. I would have liked to have faced him in the finals, but it's just how it worked. But I definitely think, because interestingly enough, I faced Reese's Ninjas over the weekend. Pretty decisive. pretty decisive, because this was like, and I won, by the way, no spoilers, but like, yeah, when these guys go, they go, like, they just do not stop, they keep coming, and they will be on board. Like, it is awesome. So I definitely think I could have taken on the XYZ Fiendsmith deck. Fiendsmith would be slightly more problematic, but I think if I can just use the cards I got for choke points, I definitely think I would have taken it. XYZ is not a threat to this deck. That's just a guarantee. We would have easily taken that. But with it's more the Fiendsmith and having multiple negates that is the issue. But again, if I had the choke points, I could have switched that off and we could have just won the game. But anyways, let's get into the deck profile. So basically, for the Gladiator Beasts themselves, they are all pretty much just a 1-card copy each, except for Gistel. Gistel is the best of the Gladiator Beasts. He is the card you want to be searching. He's the card you want to be adding. He is the guy. He is literally an absolute beast. He's what you want and how you get him. So yeah, Lacroix, for example, he's just a level 4 body, can become 2100, which is nothing to sneeze at, and his 1800 stat isn't terrible, but you're swapping him out. He's one of the monsters you want to swap out. Augustus is, again, he's just a name on the board, but like, his ability isn't terrible, because it allows you to summon another Gladiator Beast from hand, but you have to shuffle it in the deck at the end phase. It's not the best. Now that we have link support, Augustus is way better because you can just link them off. Vespius is always good because if he's summoned, he gives all monsters you control a 500 boost. That's important. But also if your opponent attacks, or during a stat, even a Gladiator Beast battles a monster, so if you attack or your opponent attacks, you can special summon this card from the hand, which is really solid. And he's at 2300. He's nothing to sneeze at. So he's really solid. Noxious is amazing. Just if your opponent tries to declare direct attack, summon this card. It basically is forced to rebattle this, and this card itself can't be destroyed by battle. So good. Equities just returns a monster from your grave back to the hand. Darius summons them in defense mode. So these two work really well in tangent to get some of your graveyard ones, especially the ones that have been used for link summoning. And then Beasterai pops back row, super good. This is great, fantastic, just to get rid of a whole load of back row. Torix is actually really good now, thanks to Gistel, because you can just, and more importantly, Claudius, because you can just send any Blackwing, it becomes the level and the name, but that doesn't matter because you're getting a body in the graveyard. That's what matters. And then, yeah, Gistel is insane, because basically, if this battles, you can swap it. But you can reveal this card in your hand and another Gladiator Beast. Summon them both. And that acts, fun fact, is their ability, because they were special summoned by the effect of Gistel. So if I summon Bishari with this effect, I can pop back row. If it was a Torix, I can send a card to the graveyard. Darius, Revival, Equities, adds back to the hand. Like, this is super good, you guys. Like, Gistel is so good. On top of all of that, Gistel allows you a search for a spell or a trap. It is any Gladiator Beast, Gladiator spell or trap from the deck to the hand. The only kind of awkward one is Defensive Tactics, but it's so good, you gotta keep it in the deck. But, yeah, Gistel is just absolutely insane. I've learned the rejection is so good. I was playing it with against Reese with the ninjas. My word, rejection is solid. We will get to these cards soon. But yes, there's a lot of really good search options for Gistel. So the Zoodiac package itself is quite small. So basically you're playing Whiptail, Ram, Rapier, and Thoroughblade, and basically these are like the best kind of ones that you've got. But it's not great, if I'm being completely honest. But it's pretty solid. You have opportunities, because the thing is with like Dryden is it just requires monsters, like, you know, because like Chickeny just requires 2+2 level 4 monsters, or 2+ even. So it's really good. Because you can technically use any of the Gladiator Beasts alongside a Zoodiac, which is really ideal, but there's so many level 4 targets that you can then just go into. But yeah, at best, like, Zoodiac, Dryden's attack power would be like 2800 attack, and not much defense, unless you combine Ram with it, and give it then an extra 400 attack, but there's not a whole lot of options, if I'm being completely honest. But it's a nice little package. It works fairly well, especially with Zoodiac Barrage, because you can just target any face-up card you control, and then special summon a Zoodiac from your deck. So then you can use, like, you know, say summon Ram and then summon Whiptail, and then you can get really popping off and stuff. So it's a really nice little package that you can go for. Speaking of packages, the classic package that's going to be coming with me for most of the deck is the triple Ash Blossom. Super good, really clean. Droll and Lockbird, 2 copies of those, really good. Lovely to see those. Catch Fenrir is one heck of a monster, because he basically, yeah, is a boss monster in his own right. Really good, and basically can deal with most cards, so he's a lovely little guy. Yeah, Zoodiac Barrage, obviously, then onto the spells, allows you to target a face-up card you control, destroy it, special summon a Zoodiac from your deck, and then if this card is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, target a Zoodiac, exceeds monster you control, and then just give this material. Like, so that's really cool. Flavian Colosseum of the Gladiator Beasts is so much better than Colosseum, the original field spell, because the original field spell was every time you tapped one out and tag another one in, you would just gain 100 attack points. I think it also had some sort of protection because it was to do with the counters. But again, that wasn't that great. This field spell, though, is insane. First of all, this can be searched because it has the name Gladiator Beasts in it. So that's real nice. On top of that, you can discard a card, add another Gladiator Beast from your deck to your hand. So that's any card. Then when your opponent declares an attack, special summon a Gladiator Beast from your deck, and it cannot be destroyed by battle. During the end phase, if a Gladiator Beast was summoned from the deck this turn, you can set a Gladiator Trap from your deck, and you can only use use each effect once per turn. This, alongside Rejection, is insane, because if your opponent declares an attack, you're summoning not one, but 2 Gladiator Beasts, because first of all, your opponent cannot target Gladiator Beast monsters you control card effects, except during the battle phase. Oh, mama, that is so nice, because I'm sorry, you wanted to imp him? You wanted to target with imp him? Nope. Gladiator rejection makes it you cannot be targeted. This is absolutely up the wazoo insane, guys. Rejection is so good. That first sentence alone is amazing. Protection during the battle phase. By the way, combining it with Darius, so this makes it that during your opponent's battle phases, Gladiator beasts you control cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, or with Dragius. So if a Gladiator beast you control attacks, it cannot be destroyed by that battle, and your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. Protection City! So much protection is insane. But also, yes, so they cannot be targeted. But beyond that, what you can do is then, with rejection, is that if a Gladiator beast is summoned from your main deck, then you can special summon another one of the different types you control in defense mode, which is incredible because you're pretty much linking it off. But you get to summon multiple Gladiator beast monsters. This one from the deck. So let's say that you summon. The thing is, obviously, they don't gain their abilities, but at least Colosseum protects it from being destroyed by battle, so you can tag it out. But yeah, basically, this is just such. It gives you so many good bodies. Obviously, Gladiator Proving Ground is so good because this, remember, is when you're searching, it's you can add a Gladiator spell or trap from your deck. So Gladiator Proving Ground can be searched with this. It's not Gladiator Beasts Proving Ground. Gladiator Rejection can be searched, Colosseum of the Gladiator Beasts can obviously be searched, and Gladiator Beasts Comeback could be searched. But Gladiator Proving Ground is just a rotor that allows you to add a level 4 or lower from your deck to the hand. Hi Gistel, you're here. He's also a beast, so that's really good because it's a different type, because obviously some cards can be Beast, Beast Warrior, all that type of thing. But yeah, Gladiator Beast Proving Ground is super good. Comeback allows you to special summon a Gladiator Beast from your hand or graveyard of a different type from the monsters you control. So, let's say for example I have Ram, who is a Beast Warrior. I cannot then summon a Beast Warrior, but I could summon a Wing Beast, or a Beast, or let's say Reptile if I wanted. You know, they're really good. Like there is also Sea Serpent, which is really interesting little choices. And that monster can't be destroyed by battle, so it gives you kind of the guarantee swap. But that again allows you to summon something which is really good. Like just comboing off, just more popping off. Speaking of more searching and adding, is when this card is activated, you can add a level 4 or lower Beast Warrior from your deck to hand. All Beast Warriors you control gain 100 attack. So fun fact, Drayton does actually get 100 attack point boost from this, but so does some of the other Gladiator Beasts. Not all of them, but it is really cool to see that some of them would get that 100 extra stat. Can sometimes matter. But yes, adding just any level 4 or lower Beast Warrior, which could be one of the Zoodiacs, it could be, you know, say, just a Torix or something, so we can discard for Colosseum. It's just, it flows, it's nice. Monster Reborn is perfect revival, again, special summoning any targets, along with Gladiator Beast Comeback, which again is not once per turn. By the way, Gistel, do you know what's insane about Gistel? I'll tell you what's insane about Gistel. This is not, sorry, you can only use each of the effects once per turn. Oh, it is once per turn. Excuse me completely, I thought Gistel was not a once per turn, and I was like, this guy is mad. It's right in the middle. It's right in the middle of its effect, not at the bottom, so it's a bit, like, sometimes you forget to read. But then, yeah. Call by, super good, gets rid of any card at the graveyard. Harpy's Feather Duster blows up any back row. Defensive Tactics makes it that face up. As long as you control one Gladiator Beast monster, the rest you control cannot be destroyed by battle. Any damage you can take also is reduced to 0. And kind of what's really cool is like Draco Tail, this goes to the bottom of your deck, so that's actually really cool. And there's a lot of shuffling, so you never know, it might come back up on top. Gladiator Beast Charge is so good, because the more names you have, the more face-up cards you can destroy, which is really cool. And yeah, basically you can search it with Colosseum, which is just absolutely bonkers to me. Imperm then to round out all the traps to, yeah, basically just switch off our opponent's effects. So that's the main deck, which is just, it's just so incredible, and it works so good. So let's talk about now the extra deck. I'm actually going to go in reverse order. We'll save the Gladiator Beasts themselves for last. And we're going to go with, first of all, Superstar Slayer Typhon Sky Crisis. Now this was originally going to be Zeus, but I am so glad that I chose this guy instead. Holy smokes! Because during the turn, or the turn after your opponent special summons 2 or more monsters, hello Rockets, you can then exceed this card using any monster you control with the attack choice higher if tied, and then transfer the materials. If you do, you cannot normal or special summon for the rest of this turn. But if you've already summoned a lot of stuff, then you can just summon Sky Crisis and he will deal with everything else. While this card succeeds summoned monsters on the field, neither player can activate the effects of monsters with 3,000 or more attack. Well, that actually, Dragon's never gonna get that, hilariously. So that's really fun. If you can get Dryden out first, summon something that's really strong, then get Typhon on board, Typhon and Dryden, oh, sexy board. Anyways, there's so many other amazing combos you could do with, like, say, SP Little Knight. And guess what? There is some really powerful dudes in here, by the way. This is 3,000, so this doesn't work, and these are way too high. But some of these can work real well, like Geyserist. He can work under Sky Crisis. On top of that, once per turn, detach a material from this card, return one monster from the field to the hand. That worked wonders against Rocket, because it was like, well, its effects are no longer active because it's higher than 3,000. Back to the extra deck you go. Super good. Anyways, he's just a super powerful card. Now, Bobo is just kind of an extra body, but I never really went into Bobo, if I'm being completely honest. I would always go use 2 level 4s, go into Chikini, and then Chikini into Dryden. Dryden then gets all the materials, and then once per turn, as a quick effect, you can detach a material, then target any face-up card on the field and destroy it. Super good. Because this can blow up cards, this can blow up cards, like this can banish cards, this negates 3,000s or more, this can negate a card effect if I wanted. This also chooses an attacker, we'll get into that later. Because yes, SP is then going to be next on the board, so if it is Link summoned using a Fusion Synchro Xyz or Link, then you can target any card on the field or in either graveyard and banish it, and then your monsters cannot attack directly this turn. But when your opponent activates a card or effect as a quick effect, you can target 2 face-up cards on the field, including a monster you control, and banish both until the end phase. Test Panther is also really cool, because if it's Link summoned, add a Gladiator Beast card from your deck to the hand. More searching, more Castell, super nice. Also, this does test Tiger's other ability so that you can target one on the board, shuffle it, and it treats it as a monster. Super nice. Darius was absolutely king in this game because basically, yes, during your opponent's battle phase, monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle card effects. And then if this card is Link summoned, you can special summon a level 4 lower Gladiator Beast from your hand or graveyard, or if your opponent controls a monster, special summon one from your deck instead. But for the rest of the turn, you can only use Gladiator Beast monsters as Link material. So that's a bit risky, but it works super well and super nice. Draglasses is also really powerful because what it does is that if a Gladiator Beast you control attacks, can't be destroyed by that battle, your opponent can activate cards or effects. And then basically you can shuffle this card to summon 2 different names from the deck. Real nice. Tamer Editor was, funny enough, never summoned, but it has the ability that once per turn you can just summon a Gladiator Beast from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. That's just bonkers. Geyserist blows up 2 cards when it's summoned, so that's very nice. Heraclenios, interestingly enough, does not have the shuffle back ability, but it does have a quick effect that you can discard a card, negate the activation of a spell or trap card, which is really good. Domitus is then insane, because when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can negate the activation to destroy it. then you can choose the attacks for your opponent. So if your opponent summons, say, Blue Eyes White Dragon, and it wants to attack Dragon, I go, it's attacking Domitus. And that is insane. And I run 2 of those bad boys. But Claudius is absolutely wild, because in some games you don't even need a second battle phase, but it gives you one, because basically it allows you to shuffle from your field and or graveyard into the extra deck to summon Claudius. Then if it's summoned this way, you conduct your next battle phase twice. Once per turn if your opponent activates a monster effect. Depending on where that is, you get a certain ability. So if they activate, let's say, an Ash Blossom during your turn, you can then special summon a Gladiator Beast monster from your deck. Or if it's your opponent's turn, then you can special summon a level 11 or lower Gladiator Beast monster. Well, this guy's a level 10! Domitus can come out to play and it ignores its summoning conditions from your extra deck. That is absolutely ridiculous. I could just summon any of these dudes for free. Thank you, Claudius. That is absolutely bonkers. Finally, let's go to the side deck. So the side deck has a whole load of stuff, which basically is another copy of Vespius, Taz Tiger, Ghost Belle of Haunted Mansion, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood, Fusion Deployment, Raigeki, Cosmic Cyclone, Witch's Strike, and Solemn Warning. Now that the Maze set is out and Lightning Storm of all cards has been reprinted, Lightning Storm would probably replace Raigeki 100%, because that basically allows us to choose, you know, whether to blow up their monsters or their back row. So I think that would be really good. But I might keep a Raigeki just in case. And Witch's Strike, though I never played it, would have been hilarious if my opponent tried to negate anything, and then I just play Witch's Strike. Sorry, you lose your whole board and your hand. That is insane. But I know what you're thinking. I've talked a whole lot about this deck. What about actually seeing it in action? So that's what we're going to do. So according to my replays, I think they are these ones, because these would be the newest ones. That is Exodia. Is that my reprint? I don't remember this. It is O-Artistry, so I'm confused. That's not the how do we back out of this? This is not, yeah, that's not my reprint. What's this one? That's Exodia again. I don't play Exodia. What is this? What is going on? I need to see, because that was the 2013. Oh, Glad Tests. I literally named them. There we go. Now this is familiar ground. I have no idea what the heck those other replays were. So, in this one, they started off with just a field spell. And I was like, oh, okay, well, Fenrir is not great, but this was just me practicing to see what I could actually do with the deck. So I managed to get Fenrir out. I managed to get 2 monsters out. Obviously, it gets the additional boost because it's, first of all, Molten Destruction, so you gain the 500, and it is a Beast Warrior. But I summoned a whole bunch of monsters, and I was like, well, I may as well just attack my opponent, and I almost took him out for game. Then I decided to swap a whole load just because I could, and then we blew up the field spell. This also allowed us to set up traps, so we had like really good protection, and we had a whole bunch of monsters and Fenrir. But our opponent didn't do anything, and then we pretty much just attacked. So this is like a non-interrupted board, which was pretty insane. So for Gladiator Beast test number 2, on this one, they set up 2 cards and a set monster. So this time I used Rejection, which obviously gives our monsters protection. Proving Ground obviously then allows us to search. Summoned the 2. Augustus then allows us still to resolve and summon Beasterai. Beasterai targeted Book of Moon and destroyed it. We then set a bunch of cards and then went into a Link monster. It was the Gladiator Beast. I used the effect to battle so I could swap, and Rejection to summon another 2. Then we summoned more monsters, and now we have a even bigger insane board. At this point I shuffled for Domitus, and we summoned SP Little Knight on top of. So it was a question of how are they getting around this board. They first summoned Gravekeeper's Chief, and then they wanted to go into a battle phase, but obviously I'm the one who declares the attacks and where they're going to go. So I just made him crash into my monsters, and then I accidentally played my Gladiator Beast track card accidentally, but then I summoned my Claudius. As you can see, we now got 2 battle phases on board and also a negate. So we didn't need the extra battle phase there. So that was nice and easy. For test number 3, this was actually quite interesting because I don't really have much in terms of a combo, and we're playing Cyber Dragon with 2 sets. First of all, I played my Harpy Feather Duster to blow up the board, and then I used Proving Ground and then just used Bestiarii. Bestiarii to swap into our Vespius. Vespius had 2800 attack points and comeback, so we could summon a monster from the hand or the graveyard of a different type. Then we drew another one. Then I summoned Rapier. So with Rapier, what I did was I decided to declare an attack, swap it out so we could go for a Torix to send to the graveyard. Then I actually went Chikine and Chikine into Dryden. Remember, Dryden blows up boards. So I knew that that's what they were gonna attempt to do, to summon a whole bunch of stuff. But we just negated and destroyed. Now I had an impressive board because I had Monster Reborn, but I wanted to hold back my resources just a little bit longer. Going into Castell, I managed to get then Proving Ground. Proving Ground then gets us Darius, which I then summoned and went into SP Little Knight. Further protection. We're almost set up and ready to go as they end their turn. Now we use Rejection to summon Comeback and then get these out. And pretty much there was nothing they could do against this powerful board. So we just took them out and won the game. Sometimes using your resources is the best way. So now in terms of game 4, our opponent first sets 4 cards face down. Very powerful, so I decided to test the waters with Castia Fenrir. Then I decided to summon Darius, and then after a turn, I used Monster Reborn to bring Darius back as we had then a monster on board. They then ended their turn. Using Tenki, even though it got MST'd, we missed the timing and we couldn't search. Blowing up their last card, which was Xyz Veil, we summoned Geyserus. Then, thanks to the abilities, we managed to get the Colosseum and a monster with 2800 attack on board. That also allowed us to summon Charge, which was pretty insane that we met the conditions, and that was something that I managed to learn. They then summoned a bunch of monsters, which I blew up straight away. Castell then was in my hand, but I decided to discard it so we could get another monster on board. Go into Test Panther to go into Comeback to bring back this monster, Test Panther to swap it out to Augustus, and now we have monsters with more than enough attack points just to get through the entire life points. So in terms of the last final duel where I tested again, I managed to have double Fenrir, which was a bit awkward to be honest, because you never want to see both. But having Fenrir as well as a call-by is pretty insane. They then summoned a bunch of monsters and managed to get into Lagia. That actually tied, and then there wasn't a whole lot we could do. I decided to first summon and then use my Harpies, which was a good thing that I did because it had Drowning Mirror Force. Now we had Imperm as well as Callby. They managed to deal with my Fenrir this time around and inflict 2000 damage. On the back end, I actually managed to summon my 2000, draw that in the heart of the cards Ram, which has 2000 defense. They basically thought that they could go into my monster, but changed their mind and went into Rafflesia. I then set Gladiator's Charge, which doesn't do a whole lot. Basically, I was saving resources. They weren't attacking my monster, which made me a bit suspicious, but I used Gladiator's Proving Ground. Now I had Castell. I just needed to hold out for as long as I could to get one more card. It didn't seem they could do a whole lot, so I summoned Castell and then also managed to get Bestiarii. Obviously they would use their effects and I would use mine. I summoned Ram, Chikine into Dryden to use its ability, and now I had 400 attack. But they used Quaking Mirror Force, which meant that it no longer had its stats. They then summoned their 1950, but obviously I still got the attack power. I blew up their monster and then I had mine. Now we had 2 ashes and I decided to set one. They summoned a 1900, which was just awkward to get around Ash Blossom. Then I drew my Colosseum. I used Colosseum to discard for Noxious, because I knew Noxious would be important here. Rescue Rabbit allowed them to summon multiple monsters, and they decided to enter the battle phase. At this point, Noxious was important, because I was able to summon my card, and summon out Augustus. Then they tried to use Castell, but I negated Castell's ability, and the other one got blown up. At this point, I shuffled all my monsters back into Claudius. Claudius now had 2 battle phases. I then just decided to get rid of their other monster, and now their life points were extremely low, and I had Gladiator Beast come back. Just in case, I used my card to search, and then during the battle phase, I just swung for game. So hopefully that gives a little bit of a test of what the deck can do. Obviously, the opponents weren't using things like Ash or anything like that, and now that I know and understand the deck a whole lot better, some of those replays, obviously I could have done way better and way more amazing combos. But hopefully that gave you just a little bit of a taste of what the deck can truly do. And just like that, we managed to get to 2nd place, which to me was absolutely incredible. I didn't think that I'd get 2nd place not only in the tournament, but also as 2nd place in terms of the ranking. Now, here we are at basically going to be entering GOAT format with pretty strong, I would say, deck that I'm really excited to use. I've literally been deck testing it, working on it. Spoiler alert, it is chaos control, basically. It is pretty much the best deck out there. So that's the deck I'm going to be using. It's really powerful. It's a really solid strategy. And I'm looking forward to just winning a whole load of games. But what's interesting is obviously thanks to the rarity collections do give you rarity bumps of cards that were previously in sets. So like say Night Assailant, which is a really solid flip effect monster that you can run 2 of in the deck. So it'll be interesting to see if my opponents are running anything from Rarity Collection, since that is a really good opportunity to use those cards. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this Gladiator Beast deck profile. Please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more content like this one. As always, party on, peeps. Take care, guys. It was great to see you. We'll see you again in the next video. Bye!